Hello everyone, very good afternoon. You are watching PM eVIDYA channel. I'm with you, Dharmendra Singh, and this session is very important for class 5 student. Of course, subject is English, and here the topic I'm going to introduce to you all, that is punctuation marks. You all aware about the punctuation marks like comma, semicolon, hyphen, all these things we are going to understand in brief in this session for class 5 students. Related to this, if you have any questions, any query, you can get back to us on our toll-free number. You can write it down if you do not have yours. 8800 Apart of this, you can suggest, you can send your questions through mail as well on dth.class5@ciet.nic.in. To watch this program live, you need to go down to the NCERT official YouTube channel. You can watch this program there. And of course, on PM eVIDYA channel number 5, you can catch this session live there as well. It's time to introduce our expert now. From them, we will understand in brief about the punctuation marks. Please welcome Ms. Shrimansi Kaushik, and she is from Intern, Indian Institute of Human Settlements, Suryakiran Building, Kasturba Gandhi Marg, Connaught Place, New Delhi itself. I welcome you, Ms. Kaushik.
Thank you for having me here.
Right, so all time is yours now. The class 5 students are waiting for you for long, and here we understand the punctuation marks. So all time is yours now. You can start.
Yeah, so a very good afternoon to all of you. Today, as Dharmendra sir rightly said, the topic for today is punctuation marks. So today's topic will be beginning with a short story. The title of the story is Sentence Street. The author of the story is Mimi Berna, and the book has been published by africanstorybook.org. The story is about a few punctuation marks. I think they all are looking for their purpose. So let's begin with the story and find out what each of them stands for. We are punctuation marks. We are the superheroes found on Sentence Street. We will show you how and where to use punctuation in sentences. Let us guide you in reading and writing. We will help you to write clear and meaningful sentences and to read punctuation with understanding. Let's meet our first punctuation mark. Oh, they are saying we are 9 punctuation marks. Who will introduce ourselves today? There are more of us, but you can meet them later. We hope you will ask us for help when making sentences. So let's finally meet our first punctuation mark. Oh, it is a colon. Let us see what it is saying about itself. You will find me at the start of a list or a title or an explanation or to introduce something. Call me colon. The next one is, my name is Koma. I help you to pause between thoughts, and I also separate items in a list. I love exercising, reading, and playing. Would you tell me about the things you love doing? Curiosity is my superpower. My mission is to ask questions and find answers. Please call me question mark, would you? I am semicolon. I am a guard on Sentence Street. I am a longer pause than a comma, but I am not a full stop. I sometimes play Cupid by helping lonely clauses connect and become friends instead of strangers. I can also separate items in a long list to avoid confusion. When a letter or two is missing from a word, I'll stand in for the letters. I also show possession, or that something belongs to someone. Call me apostrophe. I am a quotation mark, and my superpower is direct speech. When you see me wrapped around the words someone says, it means those are the exact words that the person spoke or thought. I open and close quotations. Sometimes I show sarcasm. Hey there, I am exclamation mark, the emotion mark. I express strong emotions. I express surprise, excitement. I shout, scream, laugh hysterically, and wail. I'm also willing to help you express your strong feelings. We are three dots that represent missing or unsaid words. This happens when people are unsure of what they want to say next and don't complete their sentence. We are called ellipses. I end sentences. I am the stop indicator. Without me, everyone on Sentence Street will run out of breath and need to visit a doctor often. My name is period or full stop. I think we have met all the 9 punctuation marks. So in the end, there is a question for you. Let us see what that is. People like to say that ellipses and period are cousins. Others say question mark, exclamation mark, and quotation marks are siblings. There are those who say comma and apostrophe are twins. What do you think? I think we need to study punctuation marks in detail and find out the answers to these questions. So let's do that. So let's revise what we have learned from our previous classes. We know that punctuation helps us to read and write in meaningful manner. And we use certain symbols of punctuation to do that. The very first rule of punctuation is that of capital letter. We know that every sentence, the first word of every sentence begins with a capital letter. Without that, we would not know where a sentence begins. We also know that a capital letter comes whenever there is a proper noun. No matter in what position a proper noun occurs in a sentence, it will always be in a capital letter. Secondly, we also know that each sentence ends with a full stop or a period. Do you think we would be able to differentiate 2 sentences without a full stop or a period? I don't think so. Thirdly, we have comma. Do you remember from the story what did comma say about itself? I think it comes when it wants to separate a few things in a list. That's right. And I think it also appears when we want to give a pause or a break in a sentence. The fourth one is very easy. It is the question mark. Where does a question mark appear? After a question, obviously. And how do we know that a sentence is a question? Well, it will start with a question word. The next one is very funny. The exclamation mark. If you remember from the story, it helps us to find out whether a feeling is that of joy, excitement, surprise, anger, or when something is being said while shouting or yelling. So that is the time where we use exclamation mark. The next one are quotation marks. What did you think the quotation mark said in the story? I think it said that it wraps itself around the words that a person says. That's right. So we use quotation mark whenever we want to represent what a person has said. So these are some of the punctuation marks that we have already learned in our previous classes. Now let us look at some of the punctuation marks that we are going to learn today in detail. They are semicolon, apostrophe, colon, and ellipses. If you remember the story, semicolon said that it appeared in a sentence when it wanted to put a greater pause than a comma, but less than a full stop. That's right. And it also comes in a place where items are being separated to avoid confusion. The apostrophe The apostrophe is used whenever we want to say that something belongs to someone. And also, it appears whenever there is a letter missing in a word. The colon. The colon appears before we want to introduce something. Let's say a list, a concept, a definition, etc. Ellipses. Ellipses come whenever we want to replace it with a few missing words in a sentence. Now, let me differentiate between ellipses and apostrophe. Ellipses comes whenever we want to replace it with a few missing words in a sentence. But in an apostrophe, apostrophe appears whenever we want to replace it with a missing letter in a particular word. Moving on, let's just revise what we have just learned from the story. I will speak a sentence and then you will have to tell me which punctuation mark it is. The first one is, I stand at the end of a sentence. I am a. What do you think the symbol is? I think it is a full stop. That's right. I separate items in a list. I am a, comma. That's right. I express strong feelings. I am an, exclamation mark. I introduce or explain something. I am a, colon. That's right. I ask questions. I am a, I think this is very easy. It is a question mark. I help connect lonely sentences. What do you think it is? Is it a comma? Is it a full stop? Or is it a mixture of both? What do we call this? I think it is a semicolon. I stand in for a missing letter in the word. I am an, is it ellipsis? Or is it an apostrophe? I think it is an apostrophe because it stands for a missing letter in a particular word. We express exact words said by someone. We are, quotation marks. We represent missing or unsaid words. We are, ellipses. I hope you have understood the difference between an apostrophe and ellipsis. Just remember that apostrophe replaces a missing letter in a word, whereas ellipsis replaces a missing or unsaid words in a sentence. Now let's learn some of the new punctuation marks in detail. Let's have a look at this particular punctuation mark called colon. We write it as two vertical dots. Let's look at the first example. Here are the states that begin with M: Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Manipur. Now, just before mentioning the names of the states, we've put a colon before it. It represents that now we are going to begin mentioning what we have been talking about in the first part of the sentence. Similarly, the main character in the movie said, play hard, work harder. So, first of all, play hard and work harder is in inverted commas or quotation marks. That means the character of the movie said these exact words. Now, before presenting what exact words the character said, we put a colon right before it. It means that the first part of the sentence talks about the second part of the sentence. Let's look at the third one. Never forget this point. Think before you speak. Now, what should we do before we speak? Think. And why should we never forget this point? We don't know, but at least we know that what it is that we should never forget. And connecting these two parts of the sentences is the symbol colon. Moving on to our next punctuation mark, we have semicolon. Semicolon is written with a dot and a comma underneath it. I had a huge meal. However, I am already hungry again. Now, please take a closer look at the first part of the sentence and the second part of the sentence. Just think, how are these two parts related with each other? And how are they different? First of all, they are in continuation with each other. I had a huge meal, but I'm already hungry again. Since we want to give a longer pause after the huge meal, we put a semicolon over here. Let's have a look at the second sentence. Mom wants the chores completed. She wants them done properly. Both of these sentences are related with each other. What does the whole sentence mean? The sentence means that the mom not only wants the chores to be completed, but she also wants them to be done properly. Between these two sentences, we place a semicolon to signify that both the sentences are related with each other. Let's go to the library. There are 15 different books I'd like to take out. Now, the first sentence, the first part of the sentence, let's go to the library, is related to the second part of the sentence. There are 15 different books I would like to take out. How are they related? That first, I would go to the library and then I'll take out the books I would like. And connecting these two sentences is our semicolon. Let's also pay attention to this particular word over here. This particular punctuation mark is replacing these letters of the word would. Which punctuation mark do you think it is? I think we have talked about it. Let's look at our next punctuation mark and see. This is an apostrophe. So the punctuation mark in I would is actually an apostrophe. But I think we said that it represents possession, or that something belongs to someone. Let's have a look at it in detail. The first example, this is my brother's room. I can also say that this room belongs to my brother. But instead of saying that, I will simply say, this is my brother's room. We represent brother's room, or that the room belongs to the brother, or the brother possesses the room, with an apostrophe and an S. Similarly, where is my school's uniform? Does this mean that my school wears a uniform? Or does it mean that it is my uniform that I usually wear in the school? I think the second one is better. Over here also, we used an apostrophe S to symbolize that the uniform belongs to the school. That means that I wear this uniform to school regularly. The second reason why we use an apostrophe is to replace a particular letter in a word. So for example, I didn't do my homework today. So instead of saying I did not do my homework today, I simply say I didn't do my homework today. So the apostrophe replaces the O of the word not. Now, do pay attention that there is a particular gap between did and not. But when we write didn't, we escape the gap and we put an apostrophe instead of O. Similarly, why can't you go to school tomorrow? We replace cannot with can't, and the NO of not is replaced by an apostrophe. The third important thing about apostrophe is that whenever we write certain plurals that end with an S, we just put an apostrophe after it. We do not put an extra S, but we pronounce that particular S also. So this sentence would be read as, this is my grandparents' house. So here we have missed the last S, but we are going to pronounce that S. This is my grandparents' house. Moving on, the next punctuation mark is ellipses. Let's read the first sentence. After school, I went to her house, which was a few streets away, and then came home. Now, I could write this particular sentence also as, after school, I went to her house and then came home. But before and, I have put 3 different dots. Now, these particular dots represent the missing words in the previous sentence. Whenever we use ellipses, it is to represent a few missing words in a particular sentence, or when we are uncertain about what we want to say. For example, I know I saw my keys somewhere, but I don't know where I kept them. So instead of saying all of that, I just put 3 separate dots. I'm not sure what to do, he said. I never thought. So these 3 dots after each of these sentences represent an uncertainty or unsurety. Moving on, we have our final punctuation mark for today. It is called quotation marks. We already know that quotation marks represent the words that are exactly said by someone. Oh, look, the string is broken, Aman shouted. Stop it, the kite is already in pieces, Nita shouted. Manav murmured, I want to fly a big kite in the sky. Now, in all of these sentences, we are showing the exact words that are said by Aman, Nita, and Manav. The thing to pay attention over here is that when we put these sentences in quotation marks, we also use punctuation in the sentences that are writing within them. For example, here Aman is shouting, so we use exclamation marks, and we also use a comma before introducing something. In the second sentence also, Nita is shouting, so we have used exclamation marks. In the third sentence, before introducing what Manav murmured, there is a small comma. So before, at the place of this comma, we could also put a colon. Now is the time to practice, to revise what we have learned today. I have taken out a small letter exercise from your NCERT textbook. It is on page number 127. You can go and have a look at it. The job is, your task is to punctuate this particular paragraph. Even while reading it like this, do you think can you make sense where a sentence ends and where the next one begins? I don't think so. Let's try and punctuating this particular paragraph. Punctuating it, we know that the salutation is supposed to start with a capital letter. Hence, the D of the dear is in capital. Similarly, the words like Samir, Frisky, and Sanju are in capital letters because they are proper nouns. Apart from that, the pronoun I is something which is always capital. Apart from that, every new sentence begins with a capital letter. That is why we have put a capital letter after each sentence ends and the new one begins. So over here, it is very easy to read the sentences as compared to this one. Let's first read this, read the letter and see if it makes sense. Dear Samir, I am sending you a photograph of my newest pet. Frisky is a bulldog and a very playful puppy. By next summer, he should be old enough to go with us on our long walks. I'm sure you are looking forward to seeing him. I know you will like him. Warm regards, Sanju. Do pay attention that the letter A in I am has been replaced by an apostrophe, and we have put proper commas wherever we feel the sentence needs a pause and a full stop after each sentence. Now let us do an
Ms. Kaushik,
sorry.
we have 5 minutes left now.
Yeah, this is just the last exercise that we would be doing.
Right.
So we have these 3-4 sentences which actually uses the new punctuation marks that we have used. Let's quickly read them. Raman said, "Let's go out to play." Riddhi mumbled, "I'm not sure, maybe I kept my purse in the drawer." Priya was feeling hungry. She took out her brother's tiffin box and started eating rice from it. Here is the list of things you need to make a kite: bamboo sticks, colored papers, glue, and string. After punctuating them, don't you think the sentences look much better? Can you identify the punctuation marks that I have used over here? First of all, the proper nouns are in capital letters. The first word of the sentence is in capital letter. The commas separate the items in a list. There is a period after each sentence, and whenever we want to explain something, explain a feeling, we put an exclamation mark after it. Rest, you can have a look at this particular exercise and see for yourself what you have learned today. Thank you.
Beautiful, and that was the so informative and instructive session. I believe everybody loves it. One thing I just would like to know from you, Ms. Kaushik, how we can practice this in a simple way while sitting at home, because everything is going on through online in these days. Physically, students are not coming to the school, and teachers are not going to the school similarly. So, is there any simple activity they can do while learn all these punctuation marks, which was brilliant? You have been explained so beautifully to our students.
Yes, learning punctuation is very easy. You don't have to, really work hard to learn it. What you really need to do is every time you read your chapters or every time you do your homework, just remember that what are the particular punctuation marks. We can read the words and we can read the letters, but these symbols, these small, small symbols that we use, we don't really pay attention to them. So when we read our chapters, when we read stories, we need to pay attention to these symbols and remember what is their purpose and at what place we use. For example, where a question mark is put, where would an exclamation mark come? How would we write something that is being said? We use quotation marks for it. So all of these things come with practice. And even as a kid, when I used to move around and read certain play cards that are there over shops and home addresses, there are many symbols that are used. What do those symbols stand for, right? So maybe we can have a closer look at those particular aspects also.
Right. So practice make a man perfect. So all this we can do while doing the practice. So keep doing the same thing. Before we wind up the session, we have only 1 minute left now. Any message would you like to deliver to our students, Ms. Kaushik?
I guess in pandemic, the best way to keep safe is to sit at home and read as many books as we can. So
Right.
just keep reading, keep practicing, and enjoy stories.
I think you raise a very good point, because while studying, while reading the books, you will be well known about the sentences, how it works. Like, I mean, the first line is saying something, while putting some punctuation mark. The second line is going to tell you another, sense of meaning. So
Yeah.
that's how we can do as well. So yes, you should study hard. You should reading the books. Doesn't matter it's in your syllabus or doesn't. You just need to read it just to make your sense about the context of punctuation mark. You can develop just while sitting at home. Right. So thank you so much for watching this program, and that was the incredible session of learning. And I'm extremely grateful to our guest who enlightened us with her immense knowledge and intellect. So thank you so much, Ms. Prasik, for your valuable time for our students you have given. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much, all the viewers, for watching this program. But you don't need to go anywhere because the next session is for Hindi, where we will learn the part one is Swami Ki Dadi. Stay tuned.